Good morning and welcome to today's live show. We're going to be doing some technical analysis pretty much a lot of the day today, a lot of the morning today for the SPY Qs, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Nvidia, AMD, and Meta going forward. Looking at GME and AMC as well. But I just wanted to let you guys know there's only a few days left to get that course for $100. Want to make sure to put that out there. And if you want the ranges for any stock that we cover, both of those links for Patreon and the course are both down in the description. Get trading better, get understanding these indicators a little bit better. Now, as we noticed today for the SPY, we have a couple of areas to pay attention to. That would be 546.01. Now the IV looked a little fishy. It was really moving around still, even past the point where I like to do the calculation. It's still moving around a lot. And so I'm going to take this with a grain of salt today, but 546.01 to the upside, and we do have 539.47 to the downside. The Qs, we have 477.15 to the upside and 470.77 to the downside, which is very interesting because this is right by that weekly expected move. But we're seeing a bounce early on today. So I don't know, these seem a little fishy and the IV was really moving. So I'm wondering if this is just going to break and be able to go a little bit higher. We'll look for anything in here on the shorter time frames, right? The 30-minute maybe. But if that curls up and keeps going positive, we may see something crazy going on today. We'll find out if Nvidia can get a full recovery. It's pretty much like if Nvidia can get a full recovery, then we might actually see the Qs break out or the SPY break out. We'll have to pay attention to that going forward. But as far as the open goes, look at that. We're opening up. We got a few moves going on today. It looks like AMC down another 1.75%, while GME holding up a little bit better. Now, GME had the big signal here. If this confirms today, that would be an interesting development. Doesn't mean anything has to happen. It's just that is a sign that momentum is flipping around a little bit, and we'll have to see if that can recover and get into a positive trend. That's overall what we're looking at here. We're not going to say, hey, this has to happen, right? It doesn't have to happen. Nothing has to happen. But we want to see this thing curl up and confirm that momentum. That would be good. And then see if they fight against the stock one more time. Turning up this 2 hour, very, very important for GME. Let's go through a little bit. Netflix, this thing trying to bounce as of right now and starting to fade really, really early. What do we notice for Google? Google getting the bounce, okay? So maybe in the shorter time frames, what could we look for? Maybe a simple little 30-minute divergence outside of a weekly expected move would be good to pay attention to here. So Google looks like it could head up like 3 points higher. So if it goes 3 points higher, creates that divergence, that would be an interesting setup there. Microsoft, a bunch of little divergences up in here. So we want to see, hey, if that 30-minute curls up, where would it go? It would most likely go somewhere around 460. That's right. It could go all the way up to 460. Okay, so we want to pay attention to that. But if we pop up here and we make another point of divergence very, very close to the center line, I would even consider this one pretty damn close to the center line at this point. But this one right here might be a little bit closer. We'll see if that happens going forward. Meta, seeing this thing try to curl back up with that higher low we talked about, and the 2 hour crossing up here is what's really important to watch. Look at how close that is to crossing. So Meta could see some upside. You want to pay attention to that weekly expected move. AMD though, 2 hour, if that's crossing down, that's not a good sign. You can test this low, you can go make a new one. Maybe we want to fill this gap or something like that. Maybe we want to make a stronger base before we actually see a bigger bounce from AMD, because if this thing curls over, it hasn't curled over yet, but if it does, that wouldn't be a good sign. Now, if the 30 minutes is able to turn this back around right now, okay, awesome. We're going to break through this trend. We'll see what happens from there. Nvidia, trying to see some kind of bounce. I'm still leaning towards some kind of bounce that leads into another drop. That way we can make a stronger base to actually test the real weekly expected move for the week. I think that would be very useful for Nvidia, but it's kind of just like anytime the 2 hour curls up now, it's still within range, right? So this area is nothing to really be too worried about, but we could see a little drop further down and then pull back up, maybe getting some kind of higher low or lower high. I think that would be very, very useful there. What do we notice about Amazon? Well, we have 2 hour divergence. Is that confirming it's rejecting as of right now? So this is where the timing might be a little bit off. And maybe Amazon wants to make one more 30-minute move up like this, and then this is the better timing, right? That's why we pay attention to our indicators. We don't try to front run too much or anything like that, especially if you're front running downside. You really don't want to do that, like even on these bars, because you're above the 200, right? You want to see some kind of reaction around this area from Amazon. But right now, I think you see the rejection, so no confirmed downside there. Tesla, it looks like it's trying to reject, but it also could just curl up still. It's still positive. So I want to look at a 30-minute as well. And you notice that thing as of right now still just pull back, right? So we'll see if this thing's able to pop higher, good little retest going on there. That's what we mainly were talking about. Now, we thought that retest would be testing this area more so, but came up a little bit higher, wanted to test the highs, and I think that's perfectly fine. We'll see if another move is there. It's going to cross up on this MACD with a strong bar. If it's going to curl over on a 2-hour, then it's rejecting, right? So Apple, this one here, I just wanted to point out the divergences going on across Apple right now, looking like some kind of bounce could come really close to positive territory. So maybe we're not going to head down to that 206 level, right? We almost went to it. Right here we went to 206.59, so but as far as Apple goes, we could head all the way down to like 201 this week, so 213 is the upside. I feel like this is off or something. Where did we open up? We closed on we closed on Friday down here. Okay, so 213 does make sense. All right. Awesome. How are you guys doing today? I hope everyone's doing good. Oh, I got my coffee. Let me chug some coffee before we really get into this stuff. Very, very good. All right. So what are you guys up to today? Good morning. Junior, good morning. Dylan, Matthew, Drew, YS, Ray-Bans, Life with Cohen's, Adventures with Shogun Solo. Frankie, welcome. Mr. Wynn, welcome. Good day from the Oz. Adrian, good morning. Trevor, good morning. Everyone's saying good morning. We should start a club. You guys can be on like a call out sheet for students. Here, that'd be fun. Anyway, looking across though, volatility did actually stay higher. I'm wondering if this will curl over early on. The 2-hour was here. It's not curled up anymore, but it's kind of got this dud of a bounce. So paying attention to that as well, seeing if the 30-minute can roll back and go negative, or maybe it just starts to go positive right here. Trying to take profits and go get some golf in. That's what's up. Mike V, welcome. Marina, welcome. Good morning, guys. Watching trends, writing code, and sipping coffee. Ooh, I like it, Drew. I like it. I like it. I wish I knew. Actually, I don't wish I knew how to code. I went to college for that. That was originally what I was going for, and I'm not gonna lie, I was so bored with Boolean algebra. I just was like, I can't do this. 001, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. What do you think about AMC in general? Other movie theater companies is positive, like cinematic. Yeah, it's just because that's owned by retail. So you're talking about institution owned versus retail owned at that point. It's all the news that we've gotten from AMC is good news. All the news you've gotten lately is great news. Yeah, you can still point at the debt, but now they're working on that too. So you would just say for AMC, the actual value, if you calculate it, even for AMC, is somewhere between $16 to $22. So it's just undervalued in general, and the stock is forced down. So it's just very undervalued for what it should be. And so do I see it as possibly an investment? Yeah, but you have to understand that it's being fought against, actively fought against. So they do not want this to pop up. But I can tell you right now, they're in pain every single day that it remains above like $4. They're in pain. All right, they're actually probably in pain more so. Like, I think a lot of theirs are below $3. So anything above $3 is really painful for them. It's just how long can they kind of withstand it? They're kind of trying to, there's kind of a battle of endurance right now with AMC, GME, and all that. It's just because it's a battle of who can outlast the other. And really for AMC and GME, it's just like, if people just hold the stock, it'll probably happen eventually. Now you need call side to get in, so the options market can get into it. But other than that, it's just like, is the company good? Well, I always say this: if you use it in your real life pretty often, then it's probably okay. And AMC, if we didn't have them in my city, we'd have like one theater, and that theater is crap. So let's rub a bit of lemon in their wounds. Someone said crashing. AMD is kind of crashing. AMD kind of is, but Nvidia is just holding at lower levels as of right now. We'll see what happens. I still think there's an opportunity to go set up a lower high, But I think that we might need to make a stronger base first, then we see that move, then we get the lower high. I think that would be the most likely scenario at this point. But it doesn't matter what the most likely scenario is, because if we pull out to the daily side, all we know is we're in a pullback right now. That's all we know. We're in a pullback as of right now for Nvidia, gapping above. You see how it gaps to the 20 EMA. Awesome. Okay, now we maybe don't have to go down to the 50. Maybe we want to react up to the 5-day moving average is most of the time what you react to. So we might be catching up to that right now. There you go. We might get a reaction up to the 5-day moving average. That's usually what happens a lot of the time. You keep reacting in the short time frames off of the 5-day moving average. So that's sitting right there. I'm going to leave it on a 9 for now. I think the 9's been pretty good to us. Good morning, Mike. Yeah, we can look at silver real quick. I'm down to look at silver. I haven't looked at that in a day or two. So silver dropping down again, and this is why silver and gold both all having like huge gaps in it. Like it's like it has no idea what it wants to do really. Yeah, it pulled back, but look at the gap up, gaps down, gap up, gaps down, gaps up, gaps down, gaps up, gaps down. It's a lot of nonsense. I'd really just be kind of waiting it out through the nonsense of being like, all right, that daily turns up, I'm good to go, right? Like I'd try to keep it as simple as possible. And right now, what that could mean is when that daily is actually going to turn up, might be when the 2-hour actually curls up right here. Because what you're seeing is a test of the lows again. If you go a little bit lower, you'd actually create another point of divergence to see that thing turn back up. So if this needs more buyers, well, this is an area where it would probably go, right in this little box right here. And we're touching the top of that right now. So if it wanted to dip a little bit lower down to this point where this little divergence was confirmed, that'd be awesome. Possible double bottom. For now, you have to say, I have to talk negatively about silver because it's currently down on a 2-hour in negative territory. So I can't talk positive about it. I can just think, hey, if this thing turns around, that's going to be a positive move. Maybe we test this high, go make a new one. So that's what I'd say for silver. Since we just looked at silver, let's go look at gold real quick. And you see how this thing's choppy as well. And we see almost like a flag, right? You see the flagging kind of happening here. So we want to pay attention to that. But is the daily going to be able to actually cross and go positive? You notice right here, we crossed. We didn't go positive on the next bar, so you really have to go positive on that next bar. So what I'd be overall looking at is probably a 2-hour, probably an hourly, something like an hourly probably looks smoother. See if that thing's actually able to curl up and confirm this at any time, take out this level, then we can go test a high, maybe make a new one, we'll see. But gold acting very funky lately, GLD at least. And yeah, we can look at snow as well. We haven't looked at snow in a minute, so let's look at Snowflake real quick. And this one here, a bunch of little divergences. You see the tapering, so you see how the angle has changed, right? It was down, then we changed the angle just a little bit. We go this way, then we change the angle a bit, then we go this way, and now we change the angle again. So you'd really be looking for this thing to turn back up. Then the short time frame, what's going on? Well, you're creating that divergence possibly now, but it's not on the RSI at the same time. So you do have the divergence here, but as you notice it's further down. It's kind of flat on the RSI, if not down a little bit. So that doesn't tell me reversal is the best opportunity, but I'd say these 2-hour divergences are trying, but you notice there's a lot of fake outs in these. So if I was thinking about this in any way, I'd be like, has this seen a good pullback? What's going on here? Okay, there's daily divergence as well. So if that 2-hour can go positive, I'd say, hey, yeah, this might be a good opportunity for a little bit of time. And maybe we're going to react and test something like 138, 139. Maybe we're going to react all the way up to probably this level, about 149. I think 149 would look good if this daily can turn up for a bit. And then you have to see, are we going to break through and go positive down here? Because at that point, you'd be like right here. So is that going to break through and go positive, or is that just going to rotate right back down? That's what I'd really pay attention to, up towards that, 149 level. Bitcoin seeing a nice bounce here. Daily, that thing turns up. Hey, we can see more positivity from Bitcoin. If you look on a 4-hour here, you're just not having any divergences. That's the kind of problem for me, is the momentum hasn't really signaled we died out. So if we do get a solid pop from even Bitcoin, what can happen? Well, this could just roll over. It has a lot of work to do to go positive. So if this rolls over at any time, that could just be some kind of dead cat bounce, and then maybe we go make a stronger base with some tapering, because this lost the tapering. You see how it lost the tapering? That's not a good sign. It's getting more dramatic is what happened as of Monday. Alrighty, let's look around a little bit. Let's see what's going on. I still think Apple looks like it could have the opportunity in it, right? You see the 30-minute little divergences here. I have a little bit of a move to 213 left, so not the biggest move priced in, really. Not the biggest move priced in for Apple. We'll see what happens with that, but hey, I trust my signals. If that thing is saying I'm curling up, positive territory, if that goes positive, we'll see a positive move from Apple. DJT. Yeah, DJT, huge short interest here. Starting to bite them in the butt, I think. Now, the only problem I have with DJT is it has no reversal signal in here. So if I'm taking this, it would just be most likely if like it's a swing trade or the daily side is curling up. You see how we're above the 200? Okay, now we close above the 9. Okay, that means we have a good shot to cross this MACD. So if the MACD would cross here, I'd feel more confident and maybe this thing rides for a little bit. Solid little play there, though, possibly forming. AMC now down 2%, down to 4.48. GME, you got to curl around this daily soon. It's coming, but, well, if it is coming, it needs to come soon because look how the daily is getting closer and closer to going negative. Once that thing goes negative, it means that momentum to the downside could take over. Lucas, what up, Miles? How you doing this morning? AMD crashing. That's what you said. AMD is crashing. Yeah, AMD is falling off a cliff here a little bit, rejecting the daily cross as of right now. So pay attention. But the 2 hour, let's see if this thing crossed just now because that's a pretty strong bar. Yeah, it's crossing. So that overall, when that confirms, if that confirms over the next hour and 45 minutes, well, we could see some kind of rapid move down to test 154.16. Or maybe I want to look at a daily or a weekly expected move. And I say, okay, we could head all the way down towards this zone. Really, we could head all the way down towards this zone. Maybe a little bit like in this area of 152, right? Dang, I don't have anything really set up this morning. Alrighty, cool. What are you guys chatting about? That's what she said. Oh God, why did I imagine Michael Scott like immediately? Nice. Bye. Excuse me. It was like big yawn. The Dow starting to turn down just a little bit here. But you would overall say 2 hour, right? Wouldn't you say pullback? Because look how high up that is. Wouldn't you guys say pullback? I'd be like, okay, if this crosses, I should think pullback first. Then maybe we head higher and we do something like that. That makes sense. Like if this pulled back, Nvidia pulled back again, kind of got a stronger base, that'd be pretty cool. Two hours still pulling down, saying pullback for the SPY as of right now. SPY has a little 30-minute divergence right here. Is that on the RSI too? It's flat, pretty flat on the RSI. You'd like that to be higher up, but your MACD is a little bit closer to going positive, so we'll pay attention because if that curls up, like you might just, you know, see something crazy outside of the range today. Meanwhile, XLU coming up to the top side here, wanting to curl over one more time. There you go. There's Meta with the strong move. 2 hour able to curl up. There you go. Damn. It's a strong move from Meta. Looks like it's going to go for a little run here. How high can that go? Not too high, really. Maybe like 513-ish, which is like right around this high. So maybe a test of this high, if not just go a little bit above that. Good morning, Mr. Polar Bears. Ooh, solid move coming from Nvidia now. A 3% move to start the morning. Just a classic little move for Nvidia for the day, you know. I was thinking about it, Matthew. I was thinking about it. If there was a little more upside potential there for the options market giving me that data, right, the weekly expected move, if there's a little bit more upside, like maybe 2 more points, I probably would have done it, to be honest. They might get it a little bit more exciting. I don't know what's up with this computer and my headphones, but it's just like, yeah. SPY, I actually think today you might have potential with the divergence to see something crazy because you have a divergence on the MACD. So right now, 546 pretty much is where I want to pay attention to, but this could break through and see something like that, because if this momentum dying out is anything, then we might see something like that, but none of that's proving yet. Nvidia seeing a strong move. I'd still like Nvidia to do something like this. I think that this would be stronger base. So I'll watch it. Well, I think there's too many people holding the stock at $20. I think the lowest you see it go, at least this week, is like $20. But $20 is going to be very difficult to push that below that. So it's going to be tough to push GME that low. Like, it's going to be tough. And now you're getting rid of the divergences and things like that. Well, you still have it a little bit, right? We have multiple point divergence here, but it's just struggling. It's on the struggle bus. SMCI starting to curl up on a 30-minute, right? So this is still decently deep in negative territory, so that might be just some kind of dead cat. We'll see. This thing's kind of been flowing back and forth pretty well, though, on these 30-minute crossings. Flows up, go down. Flow up, go down. Right here was the only bad move, I'd say. So if this curls up, maybe we see a move like this to fill this gap. We'll see. Still looks like a stronger base might be necessary, though. I don't know, but all I know is the Nvidia shareholder meeting, well, the insiders are not as big of shareholders anymore, right? So that's interesting, to say the least. The dollar did get back above our 105.65 level, by the way. Just so you're aware, the 2-hour did cross, so we could see dramatic move from the dollar. I don't know if that means, hey, maybe we see some more selling come in today. We'll have to find out. Volatility, you need that to probably curl up on a 2-hour to see some of that. As far as the weekly goes, we're getting pretty close, but we're not there yet. Still a pullback for the SPY. Still a pullback for the Qs. Still probably a pullback for Nvidia. A little more than a pullback, wouldn't you say? That's a little more than a pullback at this point. This right here was probably pullback level. Now you're starting to really see that escalate. Notice, like, we go negative on the gap down. That's that selling coming in pretty good. But I don't know what'll happen. That's kind of like a rock in the stream. I don't know what'll happen with the shareholder meeting. Most likely people get excited about it again. You know, that's you know, every single announcement they've ever done has been pretty much bullish. So We'll see. We'll see what the signals look like before that. Already made 100 this morning. I'll take it. And you're doing some code at the same time. Goddamn. So IWM, once again, this makes sense actually. The 10-year higher, or at least going higher, IWM dropping off finally. That makes a little bit of sense. Oh, they feel fishy because everything's even fishy. Like you're seeing the rigged market in real time, like way more than usual. Usually it's like a little bit more hidden or something, but now I think it's just like, hey, they're literally like forcing stocks to go up and forcing them to go down. Yeah, that can be possible. Something like 106 could be possible. I still think I like that level for Nvidia of like 95.63. I really like this level a lot. Like I really like that level. But I think now we have an opportunity to possibly make some kind of higher or lower high. Baby girl's up there chit-chatting. Palantir. 30 minutes. Yeah, so even if Palantir, if you could see this 30-minute, just do this for a brief moment. Right, we do this for a brief moment. That might be a good opportunity as well. We'll see. I wish I had a weekly range for that. I should have made a weekly range for Palantir this week. Apple kind of unconfirming as of right now for that triple divergence. Tesla not really doing anything. Cable? What's Cable? Cable. Oh, not a good look so far. See, at least over here you had like, nah, you don't even have real divergences here. And then you just saw a big move, and that was on the first cross up. You saw a little bit more. Seems like 2-hour cross ups can be good. I'd at least be waiting for something to turn, like, to make me say, hey, yeah, this could go up. So if 2-hour gains some steam here, maybe. That's about it. Because I'm sure the daily scale doesn't look, yeah, the daily scale looks bad. So it's kind of a sketchy one, but 2-hour curls up, maybe a big move comes, you'll see. But I'd be careful with those cheap stuff. MLGO, yeah, I heard this thing was moving like pretty crazy yesterday. Whoa! I mean, if this thing's gonna go ballistic, that 2-hour is not gonna curl over. I think you're more looking at a 30-minute here. If you're lucky, maybe you get like another 30-minute pull back and see that curl back up, but a lot of these ones that run, the 30-minute just never crosses back over if it's gonna run. So if this 30-minute crosses over, you need to know, hey, that's a pullback, and that could pull back dramatically, and then we could see another pop higher, right? So this bar right here told you, hey, positive territory, boom, there you go. Baby girl's talking like crazy up there. Ooh, SPY heading lower. Q's? Q's holding up a little better. MLGO halted again? Damn. They're just gonna halt whatever they don't want to go up, right? Tenure getting some steam there. Oh my gosh, is this gonna be like a paint dry kind of day after that initial pop? No, I pretty much just have my AMC GME. Just in case something crazy happens. I'm kind of looking for if Nvidia like does this 2-hour curl up, curls up on a 2-hour and then curls back down. That's what I'm really looking for. because the 2 hour is pretty deep here. So I think if this curls up, this could just curl right back down, and people think like, oh, this is going to a new all-time high, and then it just turns back down. I think that's pretty likely, but PCC over 1. Yeah, so we could see the rig move up. Now the dollar is scaling up. That happened as of this, well, it happened early this morning. We'll see. Curled up, so maybe there's more downside there. Yeah, AMC and GME do need some coffee. They need some, right now their coffee is like poisoned or something. What's the ticker for Airbus, Amog? Just air. Nice. Is that's not it? There's no way that's it. Is that it? Yeah, it's crypto and Nvidia. Ooh. But not a good look for reversal here. Daily just dropping off a cliff, man. I'd be very cautious with this one. Yeah, you can see bounces back to go retest stuff, right? We can go up and retest the 5, retest the 200, but no real reversal signals in here right now, just dropping off a cliff. It confirmed up, which kind of sucks, but that's the bearish territory, right? That's a contrarian bull signal. It's not really a bull signal, right? It doesn't even have divergence. So Teriyaki Cat, awesome name, first of all. And second of all, thank you so much for subscribing. But yeah, this one is difficult just because there's no reversal signals in here whatsoever, but you can see random reactions. I would just wait for a sturdier base, right? Maybe you see this 2 hour curl up, curl back down, and then the daily's able to recover with a stronger base. Right now you're just dropping off a cliff, so not a lot of technicals to do there, unless you're looking at support, resistance, that kind of thing, investment-wise. Oh yeah, things are gonna run, especially at different times, but Bitcoin, this is not a pretty look. Like the 2 hour has a lot of work to do to get back to positive just right away. The 2 hour is the first chart I look at, and I'm like, okay, cool. This has to do a lot of work though to go positive. So I'm just saying it could do this and then rotate over. And then this would be a better look for this, for Bitcoin, it really would. Down 2.63, GME down 1.4. So it did not confirm the signal, right? Microsoft rejection divergence there, but this signal here was never confirmed. Starting to point down. You still have the divergence of multiple points, but now it's starting to get a little fishy. Oof. 30-minute cross back down. Not a good sign for this guy. 2 hour just crossed. So 2 hours still saying pullback here. Maybe we pull all the way down to 44 cents and then curl back up, but you really just want to see the pullbacks and then see this thing pop back up. Even bearish territory looks like some move happens there, some move happens afterwards. So in order to see positivity, you got to get this thing curled back up. Positive territory, keep it simple. AMD kind of uncrossed. It's like crossing and uncrossing right here on the MACD, so we'll see. This guy looks pretty decent. No real 15-minute divergence either. Put call ratio is high though. Very high. Oh, god dang it. See. Oh, meta. It looked like a decent one. SMCI able to curl up on a 30-minute. This could be a dead cat. It could be full recovery, but it could be just a dead cat like this. We'll find out. We will find out. FFIE, I just all of these guys, like FFIE, these things, you just need bigger forms of momentum to get behind them. You need 2 hours getting behind them. You need all that stuff. And right now you don't have that. So like to even bring these up, it's like fine. It's just like these are dying off very, very fast. The initial move already happened, and yeah, you might have missed out. I wasn't even paying attention to this. But if you really want to see positivity, you got to get dailies to turn back up and go positive. So once things like this start to happen, you have to start to say, hey, the stock is negative, right? Once the daily goes negative, you have to say, hey, the stock is negative, right? So GME is not negative yet. That's why I'm saying it needs to do it in the next couple of days. It needs to have some kind of move, or else that thing's going negative. AMC, it has a couple days left before it goes negative. FFIE is negative now, so you definitely need to turn up. Like, there's nothing positive to say about FFIE according to momentum. Now, sometimes when it looks the scariest, hey, that's when something could happen, but I would pay attention to your momentum signals. I mean, you're crawling up on the daily. You're not like terribly far away from the center line. And this looks like a swing trade, right? So if you're able to close above the 9 here, close with that curling up of the MACD, hey, that goes positive. Awesome, more positivity, but this is a pretty good breakdown. So you really got to get above like this box right here. Sorry, that was a terrible box drawing, but you got to get above that box. You get above that, okay, you can make a move into here. And then you get above that, you can start to go a little bit higher. But for now, you would just say, hey, curling up, okay. We'll probably go over this in the swing trading that we're creating. Like a move like this has not happened really yet, right? Look at this. If you zoom out, a move like that hasn't really happened like this exactly. But we could see another push higher. You could see another reaction to get up towards this 56 level. You can maybe just get up towards this 54 level, and then we'll see what happens. But as of right now, you're curling up. Daily momentum looks like it'll be with you if it holds by the end of the day. 2 hour, what do we notice? Well, we got a rejection divergence down here. Very good little divergence right here. Okay, another rejection divergence here. Okay, awesome. This is pretty much saying like it really wants to bounce, but it might just be a small one because you're kind of going down pretty rapidly in a different pattern. AMD really dropping off, not able to cross on the 2 hour anymore, so I'd be really paying attention if this 30-minute can start to curl up, break through the trend. But for now, you would say 2 hour curl down, bad. 30-minute curl up, good. That's pretty much it. And Nvidia could get squeezed, but I still think they'd make it a little more. Now, because the put-call ratio is so high, well then things can happen, right? Because this put-call ratio is at like almost 1 still. You could see this actually just rip, and we'll find out. But for now, you're pretty negative on the 30-minute. I would like to see some kind of divergence. I'd like to see that in order to actually take a trade, right? If this doesn't form, then I just won't take the trade, right? I'm not confident in this enough to say like, oh yeah, the 30-minute curling up once is going to get the 2 hour to fully recover. Like I just can't say that about the stock. I really like momentum plays for my trade setups. And right now you could just linger around in this area, drop back down, and then curl back up, right? Something like this could happen. That would be more the trade setup I'm looking for. But it's kind of like, did they sell off Nvidia and take profit in order to fight down AMC and GME even harder, or did they do this in order to pay for possibly margin calls that are coming? Who knows? Well, so yesterday you had everything else going up except for Nvidia, and that was enough to hold the stock market a little low, right? This was just all because Nvidia was down, really. There was all the other stocks looked like they were making curl ups. A lot of them at least. And so you would say like the weight that they hold, Apple and Nvidia, if they came down together and like one other stock came down, you'd probably see a dramatic downside move. But that's just if they allow that to happen, because they could just force Tesla, Amazon, AMD, Meta, Microsoft, Google, they could force all those ones up dramatically while sending down Nvidia and Apple. Speaking of Apple. Okay, now it's trying to confirm some possible divergence here on a 30-minute. You gotta watch it closely. Where's the level here? Probably this little box right here. Maybe like 214. What's Tesla doing? Tesla's starting to curl up on that 30-minute. There you go. 2 hour trying to curl up as well. We'll see. How high up can this thing go? I can go like 6 points higher. The Dow is just dropping though, by the way. There you go, look at the Dow. That's not a pretty looking bar, is it? Oh, that does not look pretty. SPY's been kind of moving opposite to the Dow a little bit, back and forth. It's like it's following it at times. Now there's a bunch of puts in the market, so I don't think they can. Oh gosh, dollar is just climbing here. Yeah, something crazy could happen today. But that's falling off. That's so crazy that that's falling off. And the dollar's just going. Look at that dollar. That thing's just ripping. You have 1 point of divergence left for GME. It needs to see a bounce like soon. It really does need a bounce over the next couple days, or else that daily is going negative. Crazy though that the dollar starts going up, right? On this 30-minute bar, it starts going up dramatically. What's the SPY doing? It's starting to go up. That would kind of hint at some insider selling, but we need to see bigger moves than that, most likely, for us to really consider it insider selling. All right, what are you guys chatting about? Why the dollar's up? Well, if the dollar's up and the SPY's up at the same time, usually that hints at insider selling. That's why we've been saying it a lot over the past couple of months, just notifying you, hey, the insiders are selling dramatically. Everyone thinks we're crazy, and then now it comes out that the most selling from the insiders of Nvidia ever is happening right in front of you. But, you know, we have to think about, like, is that going to keep continuing, and we're going to see this go up while the dollar still goes up, and then we'll see a rug pull. We'll have to find out. Do they choose what to suppress? Yes, they have to do actual orders to suppress stocks. So they have to, like, short sell in order to suppress AMC and GME. which tells the algorithm to send the stock down because there's a huge amount of short sales. But yeah, they have to do the orders. So, but yes, they could do that with pretty much any stock. They could just not let certain orders hit the tape, which is what's going on. They're pretty much not letting buying hit the tape. Like a way you can see it too, if you go to like, maybe it is AMC on like a 5-minute or something like that. Nope, my bad. The way you can see it is when it actually hits and a big amount of volume comes in and it doesn't get routed to dark pools, you see a big bar like this. These were all tiny, but this, it started to hit the tape. What happens in the after hours right after? Oh, it starts to fall down. Right, so the after hours immediately start to force that down. So they force it down right away on lower volume. Now it's low volume, no volume, low volume, and then boom, another one comes. Oh, they route it back down. So if they ever slip through, you'll usually see, hey, there's some kind of push that then just fades very quickly. Yeah, a decentralized system would have that. I would just say about that though, like, you have to think about with decentralized system, anything that, like, even if you're big on crypto, I was trying to tell this to my friend, it wasn't clicking. I was like, even if you're big on crypto, what if you got hit by an EMP? What if they just take away, because they're in control of the infrastructure, right? So the people who are causing all these problems are in control of our infrastructure. So all they have to do is shut down your internet, and now you don't have Bitcoin, you don't have any money. And that's what I was telling him. I'm like, yeah, I believe in Bitcoin. I think if it goes down to like 13K or something like that, I'll start to accumulate it. Or if it starts to just swing up, I might just start to accumulate it. But at this point, I go, I have to also know I need to buy gold at the same time, just in case they just shut off the computers. What if they just shut everything off? So I'm not saying they would do that, but I'm just saying they're in control of the infrastructure. I don't trust them, as far as I could throw them. So I'm going to buy gold and Bitcoin at the same time, most likely, once I see some lower prices. I don't know about 450 today. I mean, this is a stock that is blatantly fought against for AMC, so they're blatantly pushing it down. So it's very hard for me to give any kind of upward target, right? I can't. It's like it's too difficult to give an upward target because look, I mean, you could say, oh, right here, double bottom. You could say divergence right here. It pops up. They force it down. It's like it's never allowed to get momentum behind it. Don't believe our government's that competent. Just imagine if AI created one button for them to push. They're using AI because they know that they're stupid. They're like, let me use AI. Wish I could buy more MC. It got me a house in 2021. Hey, that's cool, Jay say. Yeah, the 2% pullback, it just hasn't happened. We're in one of the longest stretches in history. Yeah, can I pay my cell phone bill? I put all my money into this. No. No, I have that's really funny though. Guess it's time for me to start hoarding potato chips and CPUs. Yeah, it's more like if you have Bitcoin and they just shut down the system, you want to write down that Bitcoin wallet and key or whatever on a piece of paper and put it in a safe just in case the system comes back up. And you have to hope that they didn't just erase the whole system. It's kind of like, oh, your phone randomly updated and we lost all your data. Yeah, that's a fine mentality to have, Jay. Say you've been through this before, so you understand. Just like my buddy I talk about, I'm like, he just understood, hey, it's gonna be hard to time. Okay, so I shouldn't do options, I should just buy the stock. I was like, yeah, pretty cool. Yep. That's why it's like good, like momentum's good to pay attention to, because it'll like give you a reason to be in the trade for a second, and then if it curls back down, you have a reason to get out of the trade, right? Is there a daily divergence on Google? Right now you're making a 30-minute one, but you could go higher. Daily divergence, yeah, forming, but you have some room to the upside, so Google could technically go on a run here. About 186. I'd see what happens up towards 186. But that is a crossing up of the MACD in positive territory. We can see a positive move, and then maybe it sets up another divergence point. So yeah, I think you're paying attention correctly, but it can take days for that to really form. Worried about Apple starting to cross down on the daily scale here. So see, it's like, oh, we have Apple crossing down, but Google crosses up, so the market stays up, right? It's going to be until they can't hold the cards up anymore. A big gust of wind comes in, and everything comes tumbling down. Tesla, this one here, curling up on a 2-hour as of right now. So Tesla is saying, hey, I might have some upside room left. And it could go like 5 points higher. But we'll see. That's got to complete. Nvidia. There's a gnat or something. There's a bug. Nvidia, I still think it wants to create a stronger base. It's kind of stuck in this zone. Now we're starting to see put call ratio go down to 0.95. A few more little calls coming in. Dollars wicking out a little bit. Oof, that housing sector, ew. Oh, 30-minute crossover for the VIX, so we could be seeing some kind of positivity here soon. We'll see. VIX kind of giving us an early signal, but nothing confirmed yet for the SPY, and you don't have a very big move priced in. Just because this bar came so low, that priced in move came in a little bit lower. 546, really got to pay attention to that, but I do think today might be an opportunity to see something crazy. But is that going to be the dollar taking over and XLU dropping off dramatically again? Or is that going to be, you know, Apple and things like this being able to turn up and confirm upside? When is... Okay, so their shareholder meeting is tomorrow. All right. Let's leave you guys over here on Nvidia just for a split second. I'm gonna go say good morning to the girls real quick. I'll be right back. Ooh, she's making pancakes and bacon. Apparently we ran out of eggs. We eat a lot of eggs. You're making pancakes and bacon. I'll take it. AMC seeing a little pop. Yeah, a little bit of trying to base out here. Probably creating like a 15-minute divergence or something. Yeah, another rejection here. So you're not confirming dramatic downside ever, which is interesting. And you're getting closer and closer to going positive, right? When the last positive move happened, you kind of did that back here. You see it back here, you just kind of go closer and closer to going positive, rejection, closer and closer to positive, boom, finally it goes positive. So you really need this thing to go positive. Been negative for a long, long time. GME, similar thing, it's still pretty close, and you have a 15-minute divergence now, so we'll see. But 15 minutes, I don't really like those too much. I like my 30-minute confirmations a lot better. You guys know that about me. Nvidia, about to make a new bar in about 4 minutes. We'll see what happens with that. You see the data on available shares for lending on AMC versus the price. That's straight proof they're driving it down. Yeah, well, what they're doing is, we kind of discussed it yesterday. It's the same person borrowing the same shares 4 times. Well, not the same person. It's a 5 people in the same category borrowing shares 5 times over. So you could see the float completely like multiplied by, shit, I don't know, 500%. Which just tells you, hey, only one of those guys can get out because that's the only amount of shares that exist, right, that borrowed. So only one person is going to get the amount of borrowed shares if it's been borrowed like 5 times over. So it's just like, you can't all give the same borrowed shares. That makes no sense. But they're not even having to do... They're not even having to do this. Like, this isn't even reporting, really. You see how it's come down? I think that there's buying happening, and they're just not letting it hit the tape because we're not seeing the short sales go up. We're actually seeing a lot of put volume close out. Very interesting behavior. Like, some of the most interesting stock market behavior I've ever seen is just in the last month. That sounds not legal. It isn't legal. That is pretty much like, one, it might be illegal and say you're over leveraged. But if you just aren't borrowing shares whatsoever and you're just selling shorts, then that is illegal. Like, you have to own the shares. Like, you have to own or borrow the shares. Like, that's it. Like, that is a rule, right? But they're allowing them to break the rules. And then you look into the SEC guy, Gary Gensler, and you're like, oh, he's literally, I think he's on the board of a hedge fund. I want to do a day chart to track the stocks I hold long term. Is that okay? Or should I go the weekly chart? It depends. So like, if you're how involved, like if you can be pretty involved, you can do a daily chart, but just know more crazy stuff will happen on the daily chart. Let's just pull up, let's like look at Google on a daily chart. Okay, let's look at Google. So like, you're gonna see crazier stuff. You're gonna see times that convince you maybe that things are going to drop or something like that. But I just want to show you how, see on the daily, we pop up right here. Yeah, we see a little bit of upside, then we move back down. That's why it's kind of like, I would more so be like looking for divergences on the daily chart or big dips down by the 200. That's a great one right there. Boom, we pop back above it. We cross over a few bars later. That's usually a better move when you see a full retest. When you're kind of floating around the middle here, yeah, you can end up going up, but the shorter time frames would help you. So doing it on the daily, if you can watch it, that'd be very, very good. But I would say, like, if you can find little points, right? So if you're going to trade on a daily, I would get good at trading on a 2-hour. But it would also say, like, if I just zoom out to a weekly, maybe it's a little bit more clear, right? So let's see if it's a little bit more clear. We want to go past that. So see here, you're like, okay, this doesn't even look good on the weekly side, right? Because look at all these choppy behavior, but eventually you're in the right move. So that's kind of how you would treat it there. Now this would be just a complicated time to invest because this bar right here probably told you, hey, watch out, something bad could happen. Nothing bad happens. The daily scale goes up. Then this says, yeah, something bad could happen. And then watch that goes right back up. But right here, it would have saved you. Getting out right here, it would have saved you from a 10% drop. And then that curls back up right here. Well, look what happens on the next bar. Oh, big pullback. So the daily side turned down again. So it's kind of like a little bit complicated. For investing, I really like the monthly scale. But if you just want to do dailies, I like Apple a lot. I like Apple a lot for daily scales. Okay, so you notice that we do get this choppy behavior in here where it's kind of up and down, but once you get that confirmation move right here, you see a little bit more upside. That would be solid. And then you just want to be like, okay, I'm out of the Bollinger. Okay, we crossed over, now I'd be out. And then I would just say, okay, if that pulls back, really I'm looking for a better pullback than this every time. But the reason I like Apple is because it makes divergences like crazy. So you see the divergence right here, boom, that led to massive upside. These are more the setups you want to look for. The little ones in here, you could almost be patient and just say, hey, I'm going to wait for the next bigger pullback, right? This never was a bigger pullback. Really from this area, you would have liked to see a touch of the 200. Right, a touch of the 200 would have been great, and then that would make more sense. It would be healthier on the way up, and then you'd curl back down, you'd curl back up, right? That would be healthier looking. This just looks like squeeze at the end of a squeeze. But Apple sets up very good signals, okay? So like on the daily scale, Apple sets up triple divergence right here. This is where we called the bottom. We used Apple to call the bottom because we know it's an important stock. That confirmed before earnings, and then boom, look at that thing go up, and it actually came down with earnings and then went up afterwards right on this bar. So Apple's a very good one to watch. You see the steeper divergence up here at the top. Now the daily scale, when you're in a bullish trend, right, when you're in this squeezy trend, okay, you're going to see a lot of choppiness in all of these stocks. Even the SPY, you see choppiness, right? So you got to be careful with the daily scale thinking there's divergences. Just know you're in a bullish trend and know you need a significant pullback, some kind of significant move to happen. So right here was what, July 25th. So see, more so what I'd say in this type of trend, you want to pull out to a weekly scale and say, okay, this right here says more downside. Now you don't have to play throughout this whole turmoil. And then you see this, and then you see the triple divergence on the daily scale. You notice that if you did this based on the weekly, you'd get in at 190. Right, at potentially 190. Maybe if you're confident, you would have got in here at 186. But I'm just telling you right now, if you did the daily divergence, you'd be in at like 173. And then you see a big upside move. So we see a big upside move like this. And then what do you want to look at? Well, if you're still doing the daily scale here, the daily scale probably worked out a little bit, right? Because you saw some bigger swings. What happens? Well, the first curl down was here, the second one was here, and you have divergence. Okay, so this one had divergence, boom, big drop. Now we pop up lower high. Okay, so this one here probably would have been better to trade on a daily scale, if that makes sense. But trading on a daily is fine. You just have to manage your risk on, say, a 2 hour, and then for the bigger moves, you want to zoom out to a weekly and just be like, hey, the weekly momentum's here. We're really going positive. This is a very strong move, so I don't want to fight against it. Like bullish trends, much easier to catch. Bullish trends, much easier to catch than catching a short. The market most of the time goes up. We're in a debt system, so the market most of the time will go up. So taking upside plays is a lot easier than taking downside plays on the daily scale. Meta, I think this is going to be a get out of jail free card. Now, you can always head higher, guys. I'm not saying you can't head higher. I'm just saying the environment we're in, it's not looking too pretty. Now you do still in this environment, this type of environment has two outcomes really. It has the outcome of one, we see some kind of major top form. The other outcome is we see some kind of little top form and then we see just an even bigger blow off top, which would be bad. Now, Tom Lee came out and said, hey, yeah, the stock market most likely going up to 15,000 by year 2030. That tells me that he could see some kind of drop coming first. No one believes him, and then the debt system takes over again. All right, we got some bacon and pancakes. Bacon and pancakes. I dig it. Damn, that's a lot of bacon. What the She's trying to fatten me up or something. But your 2 hour for meta is saying more upside as of right now. That's what the meta, or that's what the MACD is saying. Just funny because the dollar is the opposite. Oh, that's salty. I'm gonna go get a water real quick. I'll be right back. I come back down and there's just 2 big dogs surrounding my food. And they've already eaten this morning. Just an interesting environment, very hard to see. I think you just gotta be like, play the individual names, play the signal you're seeing in front of you. MACD, McDonald's. McDonald's looked like it was suffering, by the way. Let's go look at that for fun. Ooh. There you go, daily divergence taking over right there. See if that thing can see a pop. Bruce, I will beat yo. No. He knows that he does something wrong. He's pretty good. He barks just out of reaction, then he goes, oh crap, my bad. I don't even know what to like. I don't even know what stock to look at because it's like everything's behaving so funky to me. It's like, oh, these stocks rip, these stocks go down, AMD rips down, Nvidia go up. It's like, what the fuck is going on? Pancakes this morning. I mean, just the potential for a lower high here is higher. Well, you're still pretty close to the center line, actually. You can see a big move. We'll see. This is where you wanted to test. It makes sense. I'm just worried you're going to go like, yeah, everyone FOMO's in right here, and then it just rips away. Like, there's nothing even fun to look at, really. Like, genuinely. Okay. Maybe the Q is going to see something crazy. We'll find out. Like the way the ranges look and the way that the charts look, it looks like we're going to see something crazy today, but knowing them, they like to wait till the last 30 minutes of trading and they make it a freaking snooze fest all day. Why is this snooze fest all day? Because retail's the first hour. So if institutions aren't doing anything in the first hour, it's just boring. Screw it. Let's watch AMC for a little bit. We'll just leave it on there for a sec. SEC charges Meta Materials and former CEOs with market manipulation, fraud, and other violations. I mean, well, we got caught in fraud or something and market manipulation for Meta apparently from the SEC, but stock go up. That's good news. Market manipulation, which way? Up? Okay, sick. Just nothing happens. And I actually think that's why Keith Gill's doing this again. I think that's why he's like, one, the company's undervalued. GameStop is undervalued. And two, he's like, hey, nothing really happened the last time. There was no punishment, more bailouts. We allowed the positions to just be rolled. That would kind of make me upset too. Well, hey, thanks for doing the problem again, short sellers. You're giving us an opportunity here if we win. Google now 30-minute divergence. Still can go a little bit higher, couple points. But do you see the divergence forming? It's not a pretty look. Damn, those are just boring to watch. See if AMD curls up or something. While Lucas eats his pancakes. Let's try a bite of bacon and a pancake at the same time. What do you guys think is going on out there? Do you think they're just like trying to save up, store up enough money to pay for the problem, or do you think they're going to keep fighting it? Like AMC and GME. Yeah, I wonder what happens with the annual shareholder meeting. Well, that's a funny thing. If they're like, I don't know if their securities are backed, like federal backed securities or something like that. Because if they are in some way backed federally, then technically they have no repercussion. They have no real damage that can happen to them. Because what that means is they just fight the problem as much as possible, and then it pops eventually, and they go, "Oh darn, we wasted another $100 billion." Yeah, they're like over leveraged by about $104 trillion. Banks are. So they did the system check, right? They do system checks on these guys, insurance checks on these guys like Bank of America, JP Morgan, all those. And they added up, and about 4 of them have problems. If a problem occurred, they would have serious problems with, I can't remember what it was with it, but it was pretty much like, so the amount at risk would be about $104 trillion. It's a lot of bacon. Banks are in trouble. You see major job loss. You'll see like, so if banks go in trouble, what do they have to do? That means their loans are bad, right? So if their loans are bad, they'll have to like a home loan. Like if you got a home loan from say Bank of America or some shit, that pretty much means to me like they would have to sell it and another company would have to buy your loan. Because I mean, I highly doubt they just seize the house because they messed up. Like if you're paying your mortgage. But that's the funny thing about America. You think you own a home if you buy it. Even if you buy a home outright, the bank can come in and take it at any time, especially with like if you're in a mortgage still. The title you have for it, they can seize it at any time. The government can. Same with your car. That's why they're allowed to just tow it whenever they want. You ever wonder why cops can just tow cars? Because the car's not even technically yours. No, it'll be a recession. We're already in recession. Like we've probably been in recession for a long time. But let me think. Yeah. So what would I mean? Maybe you're saying like you'd see the recession in the market. You'd finally see that. But if banks go under, that pretty much means like job losses occur dramatically. So when job losses occur, economy grows less because there's less jobs pumping money in. Um, it could cause the housing market to go up because if people lose their jobs, they can't afford to pay for their mortgage. They have to sell their house. And then you'll see a huge influx of homes. And then you'll see a ton of homes on the market, which then you'd have to say like, oh, that'd be nice to buy, but you might have to have cash because who's to say like a loan wants to, a bank's able to make a loan because the bank's giving loans is the whole problem. The debt is the problem. Debt system is a problem. This is just like a regular thing for the debt system, right? Just a regular thing. Hey, we go too high and we crash down and then we add more debt to it to make it hold up and then we go higher and then we crash down. I always say debt's a drug and our politicians are addicted to it. So they just allow it all to happen. They're the ones that made it happen. Lion King. Yeah, I actually saw a cheap house come onto the market that was very pretty. I was looking at it and I was like, damn, I want to get that, but we just signed the lease here, but I was like, damn, I want to get that. And then I looked at it and I was like, man, this is the price before anything really has happened. Like, maybe by this time next year, I'll see 10 houses at a better price than that are better homes, honestly. But Tom Lee said, hey, the SPY could go to, or the SPX could go to 15,000. I'm like, okay, it can go to 15,006. So we're going to have hyperinflation. If we double and a half, if we 150% over the next 6 years, yeah, we're probably going to see inflation go insane. Which tells me what? They're going to use a proxy war. They're going to use the war. We're going to use the the World War III to say we have to go into more debt and then just shoot this market higher because it's going to be inflated. NDX is the new Bitcoin. Yeah, pretty much. So like we need our dollar to compete with Bitcoin, so maybe we just like make stocks go higher. I don't know. Yeah. I've read about rent to own, and he pretty much, you just like buy it and then you give like a, sometimes like if the rates are at like 7%, you give like a 10 to 12% rate or something like that. And the cool part is like when the person is renting to own, it's like you'd be like, oh, the guy has all the liability because he still owns the home. But technically, in that environment, they sign a contract for rent to own, I believe. That's like the person who's rent to owning it now takes liability of the house. So if something in the house breaks, that means like the person who is rent to owning it is supposed to fix it. So like once you rent to own, all the liability is actually on you, but they'll tell you that they have all the liability. But some people, some rent to own people are trying to do good stuff for people. Like I'm not going to say all of them. Apple tried. Meta trying. Microsoft trying. Yeah. So it's like they'll be like, I own all the risk because I still own the asset, and then they're like, and then you sign a contract that's like, okay, now you're going to own the asset or get a mortgage in a year or 2 years, or keep paying this rent to own rate, and then you just say, okay, pretty much says like you get the right to buy at a certain price, right? And then at the same time, it would say if something breaks though, it's your house now, so you're liable. Like, but if you talk to them, I'm sure they would say, and I know this stuff because I took the courses. I was almost an MLO. I took all the courses to become an MLO. My brother's an MLO. I'm pretty sure I have it right. No, that's Jerome Powell. Well, it can be good for certain people. So like rent to own is actually very good for, say, like someone with very bad credit and needs to prove they can make payments type thing. So they can make those payments for a year, and then it makes your credit look very good, especially to a lender, since you're technically paying a mortgage in a way. And then the lender will take that into consideration as well. So it's not a bad thing, but it's a bad thing in markets where like certain people just can't get a home, so they go with rent to own, right? They just can't get a home right now, so they have to go rent to own to see if this, individual will technically give them a loan for the house. That's kind of like, it's like good in a certain system. I would say it's not very good in the system we have now, because this isn't a one-off guy who has bad credit. It's like everyone has bad credit. Therefore, a rent-to-own home could be crap, but could be valued like $10, $20, $30,000 more than what it should be sold for on the market. So it's kind of like the demand for rent-to-own right now, I think, is too high. And then you're just having people go into situations where we could see unemployment go up, and now they have a 10% rate, right? You see how that's kind of a mix for a problem? Because if people are struggling to pay for their 7% rate, do you think someone's going to struggle to pay for a 10% rate? Especially someone with bad credit? I have bad debt. I hear you. I wish you good luck. All right, we're done. That was like 6 pieces of bacon. I'm sorry. That took forever. I'm a slow eater. Yeah, that's good, Sabrina. That could be seen as good, but technically, the richest people in our nation they love debt. It's a tax write-off. Jeff Bezos doesn't pay himself a salary, right? He just says, hey, I own stock in Amazon worth billions of dollars, so give me a loan for my house. And they go, okay. They want you to have bad debt. There's a difference between bad debt and good debt. It's bad to go into debt when you have no money. It's good to make money and then take debt out when you like have the cash flow and things like that. That's why it's like if you build up and you get a rental and you build up and you build to where like you have a good amount of equity in that and you're getting cash flow from someone renting, well then you can borrow against that in order to get debt in order to get the next one, and then you know how to do it. So if you're good at it, it makes sense. But right now it's like everyone and their mom trying to do it. So not everyone, just like not everyone can be good at a 30-minute chart, a 2-hour chart. Some people got to trade dailies, monthlies, invest. Same thing with, getting rentals and stuff like that. People are bad at it. People take the cheap way out. People do all kinds of stuff that is just not good. Yeah, but to just say like I have $0, therefore I'm going to go get a $30,000 loan and put a down payment on a house that I don't know how to rent yet, that I don't know if people will like to rent, and I might need to fix up the house a little bit so I can charge the amount of rent that I want to charge. Like, do you see how there's a bunch of problems? That's why it's kind of like, oh, someone works a job for 10 years straight, saves up a bunch of money, invests into a house, then they buy themselves a house, and then they rent the other one, and then the cash flow can pay for their mortgage maybe. Little things like that always happen. And that's how smarter people do it. They don't start with zero. They work, and then they start with a chunk. I think that's more so the smart way to do it. They have a job, which gives them cash flow. Then they have a rental, which they force into cash flow. That's awesome. And then they can start to scale up. Pretty much if you have $0 and you're trying to get a rental with a big loan, you're scaling up too fast immediately. I like it, Sabrina. 815, hell yeah. They liquidate some of their positions. I don't know how they do it exactly, but most of the time you don't have to liquidate for the loan. So what he would probably start to do once he has enough debt is actually make a salary and then just have the debt counteract it, right? So if he say made $100,000 a year, but he's also in $100,000 of debt, then he's not going to pay taxes. Nuke loans while I have a job. Yeah, we sit down and budget. We really do. We sit down and I let wifey do that because she writes everything down. She's a little more organized than I am. So we let her take care of it, and that's awesome. And I just have one of my things sending money into her account, so she doesn't even have to ask me for money. She just pays it when it comes due. And we've cut down a lot. We've cut down a lot lately. We started to get into like, hey, baby mode, let's save money, and it's really been awesome. Amazon, could you curl up? Positive territory? Maybe. Let's see if AMD wants to curl up. Nvidia already curled up. I still think it needs to go create the stronger base. Now we're starting to see calls leak in. Volatility not working out just yet. GME and AMC doing a whole lot of nothing. God, this is like paint drying. Maybe I'll just like hop off and hop back on like later today, because this is like, I'm enjoying our credit and debt talk. I love talking about debt. I was trying to explain it to someone and I was just like, yeah, you realize like debt is actually money. And they were like, what do you mean? And blah, blah. And I was like, well, so when you give money to a bank, you give them $100, they loan it out 90 times, like 90 of it gets lent out. And then, hey, magically $190 exists in the system. That's how we get into a debt system. That's how we get inflation. He was just like, oh, I get it. What are the Qs looking like today? Is 480 possible? I think anything's really possible as of right now for the Qs. You're starting to see a curl up right at that daily expected move already. So we could be heading a little bit higher here. Like I said, I was expecting maybe something crazy could happen because that dollar was coming down while the Qs were coming down, while the SPY dropped to the end of the day. And that just kind of tells me, hey, maybe the insiders were buying a little. But then today, overnight, we see the dollar rip back up while the market is, you know, trying to hold up. So that tells me possible insider sell. So it's just like a little bit more of a confusing day. So what I'm overall thinking here is I play the signals. I see a divergence here for SPY. If that could pop up, that should say, hey, a 2-hour has good potential to curl up. When the Qs are already trying to test, you notice the daily expected move is starting to see some hesitance around it. So we're going to need to actually burst through that, go positive down here on the MACD for us to see an upside move. Now that gap fill is always possible, but you have to wait as you're at this area so many times. If that just wants to stay flat, roll back over, and then create a divergence, that would be better for the Qs. The SPY already have it. So that's why I'm slightly convinced if we see positivity at some point today, we could just see this thing go up to the daily expected move. Debt and leverage is money if you are doing it at the right time, right? So everyone going into debt right now might not be the right time. But if you were, say, going into debt maybe 2 years from now or a year from now, let's say there's a housing crisis and then you go into debt to buy, say you have $100,000 in assets already, you use those to borrow against, and then you get, say, $100,000 from the bank and you just get a down payment on another rental, and then that cash flow is positive over time and you're getting a lesser value, so you get growth and rental cash flow. Now you'd have to hope you can rent it, right? Because if you can't rent it, then there's no cash flow. That's one of the most like important things. If you can't rent it because no one has a job, that's going to be a big problem. That's going to be a big problem for you. That's why I'm not the biggest on, like, I don't necessarily want to get a bunch of homes to rent. That's not really my end game. My end game is to just trade stocks. That's pretty much it. And if I can get something to get leverage to trade stocks with higher numbers, that's fine. So I can take the options risk out, take the time risk out. Yeah, don't worry. Yeah, I know student loans are very expensive. One of the biggest ripoffs, and really it just hurts the society because now you have, so with colleges, it was the loans are then backed by the government, so they're not fearing the loans not being paid at all because the loans are backed by the government, right? So no matter what, the university says, hey, we make as much as we want, so let's invite more people. Now you see overcrowded schools, now you see classes that shouldn't even be happening, and they're all going up in price every year because they can keep charging higher and higher amounts of debt to these kids who have no idea what they're getting into because it's backed by the government. It's backed by the government, so they're like, hey, we can literally make them take a loan for $400,000. 680 bones on the clove. Ooh, curling up, positive territory. What's going on a 2-hour? Ooh, good stuff. Okay, now you have daily divergence forming. Interesting. I don't want to say too much about this. It doesn't look very clear. I just see a daily divergence forming, and that's about it. So Apple, you struggling, homie? Jumped into DJT. Let's see DJT. I mean, a swing trader would wait for the bar, but would wait for the end of the day, but I get you. 2-hour crossed up, you still have potential for this 2-hour to rotate back down. So if this 2-hour curls down, you know, hey, no reason for upside. But maybe we make a stronger base, and then that's the signal we look out for. But if this too has a short seller problem at this point, I think the short flow on this being short a ton. So that would just tell me like, hey, be careful. This one's probably fought against, just like AMC, just like GME are fought against, right? And those 2 hours just are not curling up. They're just going negative. More and more and more. Nvidia is starting to see a little bit of a push here. Very weak contrarian bullish signal, but if that just goes positive, okay. But I think there might be some more work to be done. We're starting to see calls trickle into the market. It's like people get antsy. They're like, oh, it dropped, but it's not dropping more. God, okay, calls. Like, it's like they get antsy. Anything interesting going on? Yeah, they did. So the SEC did charge Meta Materials and former CEOs with market manipulation, fraud, and other violations, MMAT and MMTLP. I used to trade MMAT, that's crazy. But that's interesting. So this guy here is actually what it was, not Meta itself. I actually used to trade this back in the day. Oh god, I don't think I touched it for like years now. Try to find the last time I traded this thing. I think it was back here. I think it was down in here that I traded this thing last. Yeah, it was this right here. It was that right there on this bar. Then we reacted up to the 200 and then it came back down, and then I think I sold up at these levels. So I made a big percentage right there. And this was when I wasn't doing options as much still. But I did a non-option play on this and boom, that thing went up. I made like 100% on not an option play, and then it came back down and I was like, oh, sick. And then I never traded it again. So that was Meta Materials, not Meta. Someone put Meta on the first thing I read. God, it's gonna be another just boring ass day, isn't it? Well, how about this? How about this, guys? I think this is what I'm gonna do. TLT, daily bull flag. Chewy, we could look at maybe Chewy. Yeah, so with this one, I was more thinking like, hey, continuation triangle maybe forming like this. You see this? Maybe this point. Something like that. Then, hey, we see a breakout. That'd be interesting, right? That's more so what I would look at. But really, it's just like, hey, 2 hour chart, if that curls up, awesome. This was some kind of continuation. It looks like a perfect triangle. Like just on your screen, you can see it looks like a triangle for continuation. If that could curl up here, that'd be a good sign. But I think what I'm going to do for now is look at Chewy. Dang, that's a move. Went positive, broke above the 200, started running. Wow, great move. 2 hour trying to form a bunch of divergences right now, but that is just a screaming higher move there. Wait, why would Chewy go up like that? Is there news about this? Weird. This was the whole Ryan Cohen thing, wasn't it? I don't know. Anyway, what I'm probably gonna do, guys, because this is a little bit like, it's still a dry heave of a day, is I might hop off for a little bit and I might go live a little bit later today. or I'll just make sure to put out a YouTube video tonight with what happens with the rest of the day. But this is like watching paint dry, and I would rather go, you know, see my baby girl for a little bit and then maybe go live in a little bit later. So look for, like, turn those notifications on, make sure you're subscribed, so that you can see when I go back live. But I can't sit here and watch this just dry ass market all day. I gotta go touch grass or something, go to the gym or something, because this is just, it's just kind of like, okay, cool, Nvidia's up 4%, awesome. All right, we'll see if the 2-hour curls up, sick. Another move higher, maybe a lower high, we'll find out. But it's just kind of like watching paint dry to me. Especially this stuff, like this is just watching paint dry at this point, just only letting selling hit the tape. There's no way that these things should be just like gradually selling off. So I'm just gonna make sure to have a good head on my shoulders for the rest of the day. Maybe go do something fun with the family, because this is just not, this is not fun price action even for the SPY. It's just like, it's boring as hell. So I might just hop off real quick for a little bit. Maybe I'll come back on later once things start to pick up. Maybe for the end of the day, we'll do a little ending day live stream. But for now, just make sure to note that for sure we'll be having a YouTube video later tonight. So I'm gonna hop off for a little bit. Thank you guys for joining. I really do appreciate it. I'm sorry, it's kind of like a certain things are popping, yes, but not necessarily in a way that I can like take trades. So I want to make sure to be patient with my day, not really stare at charts. Don't try to convince myself to take a play. I'm really waiting for those good plays to set up. So thank you guys for joining, and I'll talk to you guys later, all right? Have a good day. Good luck with all your trades. I really hope you have all the best luck in the world trading today. I really do. Make that money out there, all right? Peace.